We made it to 10 weeks.
I'm so impressed with ourselves.
Yeah, we've done so well. Welcome to another Charge Attack podcast. Here with Luke, and I'm Ben, as
Hi,
usual.
guys.
Hello. We've got a few little things to talk about this week. Not too much again, but thankfully a couple of different things have been brought up. No AAA superstars, but we'll start things off heavy and strong. Nioh 2. A trailer got released and some alpha gameplay has been available. Some people have played it. There's some footage up on YouTube. You should definitely go and have a look at it. But we're going to mainly be talking about the trailer, the gameplay trailer that they released with it. So if you don't know what Nioh is, then it's Team Ninja's own version of sort of Dark Souls with a lot of big twists, very fast combat, and you've got to change your stances a lot, basically, and just, as usual, tear stuff up. Enemies are really hard. You die a lot. It's challenging, but what more can you want from these types of games? So they showed this new trailer, and it looks... What do you think? I think it looks amazing.
I was very impressed. I was getting a lot of Bayonetta vibes, which is always a good thing in my book. So.
Yeah, it looks like, especially going off the back of Sekiro, which came out obviously a few months ago, and that's obviously Japanese as well. It's got an amazing aesthetic, music-wise. It's just like sort of like hearing the Japanese flute in the background. It's like every time I hear that, I'm just sort of like, ooh, gives me a little bit of a chill. It really does. But like they've done this. Like I think they've planned this so well because of Sekiro, everybody was built up so much for Sekiro. From Software so far have made the best Soulsborne games, and then Sekiro was obviously a different venture for them. A lot more Japanese aesthetic to that, which is great. And now everybody has been built up for Sekiro, and now that that's happened, and we're on sort of like the cooldown for it, so it's not too far. Well, how long? It's only been 2 months since that's come out now, so everybody's sort of on the cooldown. All the people that were super hyped about it are now sort of like, yeah, we appreciate it. It's a great game.
Third, new game pluses.
So they're all sort of relaxed. They'll see this and they'll be like, it's going to hook them. It's going to lead them into it. They'll like, look at it and go, oh, this is another like further Sekiro game sort of thing. Obviously, it's not exactly the same, but Japanese, hard,
ninja-esque,
yeah, flying about. It's like Sekiro is obviously quite fast combat paced. But this game looks just unreal.
It's so much more like almost like a hack and slash, I'd say.
Yeah, you're like getting the verge of just hack and slash rather than the Souls-esque.
It looked like the perfect combination of both. Like you got your bit of dodge in, you're gonna get beaten about a bit, but then when you get your attacks off, you're going nuts on these. And you got like you then do this like transform attack where you literally do this massive like rage monster thing, like beating the shit out of something like this club.
Yeah, summoning like little skeleton archers and things like that.
Yeah,
and that's something that I think that Sekiro doesn't at any point, well, not very often, other than a couple of like the end creatures and things like that. For the most part, Sekiro keeps it sort of, you can sort of say like an essence of realism.
It's raw combat. It's just you, a sword, and another person with a sword.
Yeah, for the most part, you are like fighting against just either a giant or maybe a troll or the baby face creatures of death. Those things that were they're a little bit weird. Don't get me wrong, they're a little bit weird, but you can sort of humanize with them a little bit. They're just ugly people.
Yeah,
is sort of what you can get from it. But what Nioh can do and has done is it can go the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where you see like this snake woman like wrapping around him, and some of like the creatures of darkness like coming up and grabbing you, and then you can also go that further distance with like the aesthetics of the character and how the character looks and feels. Like you, at one point in the trailer, you do see a guy with like 2 blue swords like flying about everywhere and shooting darts and lasers here. There's sheep rolling after him at one point, which I think is just like a weird thing to show, but like you can do so much more with that. It's taking it that step further, but also further away from Sekiro, whilst also remaining intact and comparable, which is really cool. And I do like that the way it's looking and the way it's feeling is the fact that people will look at this and they'll go, it's not Sekiro, but it looks fucking cool.
Yeah.
And what else? What else do you need you to
People who want that sort of that little bit more to their combat, who want like the over the top sort of moves and all that explosions on the attacks and things, it's going to cater to their needs as well as the people who want sort of like a good fight out of a boss sort of thing.
Yeah. So Nioh 1 did really well. It got some great reviews. A lot of people loved it. So it's great to see that they're obviously taking it further and bringing out a sequel. And it does feel like they've just gone... It's like how like you feel as though games should go. Is it's sort of gone, all right, so this is what we did in number 1 that worked really well. So let's just take that a step further.
Do
like,
more of that and do it better.
Faster and just more deadly. And it's literally one... I've watched that trailer twice now. And just whenever I watch it, it's just sort of like, I don't actually know what's going on. There's just shit flying.
I don't need to know.
You don't need to know. It's so cool and fun to watch. It's just shit flying everywhere. Blades flying, creatures being summoned. And then you've got like the random odd creature that electrocutes you and sets you on fire.
Yeah, he's like doing some weird little emotes and you get hit by lightning and you die. It's just like...
There's no rhyme or reason, but you don't get too much of that in Sekiro.
Very serious.
It's a lot more serious, yeah, like you said. So it's a great little take on it, and I think it's something that we should be looking forward to. It's another PlayStation exclusive, which means that if you're an Xbox player or a PC player, I mean, if you're buying off Epic Game Store anyway, you're probably not going to have a good time, but there's nothing... It's just something to look forward to.
Yeah, after seeing that trailer, I'm definitely inclined.
Yeah, so come out at the right time, I think.
Yeah,
they've marketed this so well. And
earlier, they'd have been still sideswept by Sekiro. So.
Yeah, too many people would be comparing it, saying, "Oh, this is just a Sekiro ripoff." And
yeah,
it doesn't matter how long these games are in production before they're released. If you release it near to a game that is very similar, everyone will compare it.
Exactly.
That's just how it goes, which is not a great thing, really, but.
Unless it's a good comparison.
Unless it's a good comparison,
but
which works that
Sekiro, you're going to potentially fall short a lot of the time.
Yeah, which is absolutely fine. What have you got that's come out this week then, Luke?
So, continuing with the PlayStation aspect, Sony have announced they're looking more into their interactive entertainment, getting more serious on turning more popular IPs into TV shows and films, which... It could be a good thing, or it could be a really bad thing.
I think that's probably the only way you can sort of take these sorts of things.
Yeah.
Is it will either be done, like, super well.
As a classic, obviously, games or films never seem to do well.
They've done better in recent times, I would say. Not Assassin's Creed. But, like...
No,
but like,
that's
say,
from a film from a game, it was the reverse, wasn't it? So...
Yeah, I mean, like when you like you've got Castlevania on Netflix, and that's just had quite a few months ago had its second season released, which is absolutely killer. Those games are amazing, and the series that comes with it is really good as well. It's stylized correctly. It's an anime, which is probably the best way they could have gone with it. Sometimes when they go for these live action creations, they can't quite compete with what the game is displaying, I find.
Yeah.
So you've got like all of this over the top action in a video game where like people are getting shot constantly and it takes like 100 bullets to kill a guy. In an anime, you can sort of get away with that.
Real world restrictions really can bring sort of thing. All these epic scenes with like a grinding hole.
So it's like I guess that's something to be wary of. I mean, there's nothing that's been confirmed, I'm guessing, yet.
Nothing been advised in terms of what's being released, but would you rather see a film or a TV show of a game?
It entirely depends on the game.
So say if you could go to PlayStation and pick one game to make a film or a show about.
To make a film, I reckon they could do an absolutely brutal God of War. Norse mythology is quite overdone at the moment. Greek mythology hasn't been touched in a little while in the cinemas that I can think of.
Since Percy Jackson.
I believe that they have the potential, and there's a lot of the PlayStation IPs that do really well. Like The Last of... To be fair, this is like sort of like I guess an issue with it is like The Last of Us and God of War. You can play them in their cinematic mode, And they pretty much are like movies.
Games are getting to that point where the cutscenes are so long at some point. That's a bad thing, but you can almost start to feel like...
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation are making them that well. Xbox aren't. But,
Yes.
But for example, like Uncharted 4 and God of War, the new one, they have this cinematic mode, so all the enemies are super easy, and you literally pretty much just waltz through the game, sort of like swipe downs and kills of enemies, and it's just works extremely well. So I'm not sure if we particularly need movies. Maybe sort of spin-offs in like anime stories, or potentially, I guess, live action series wouldn't be too bad. They could do like, if they did like a side section, then it would be much more interesting than them trying to follow on like a main story and make it into a...
Yeah, if they did sort of like an at this time in another place, potentially, sort of what's going on. I would personally rather see shows than films for the most part, because obviously shows will, obviously there's a lot more time to go in depth, explore characters and things like that than what a film will do.
Yeah,
so
it gives that opportunity then to get like into all the lore. It's like, again with like the Assassin's Creed film, they had... like, they wanted to include, someone, like, jumping off a tall building, doing the massive, like, dive and swoop. Then they're just including it into the movie because they feel like, this is in the game, it should be in the movie. Whereas it doesn't necessarily fit that well. Whereas, obviously, if you've got it as a series, then it gives you so much more time to play, so much more... just ability to manipulate and create these shows and include little tidbits here and there, so then you can focus mainly on the story itself and then include these little side sections which then this is a reference to a video game, this is a reference to that video game, sort of thing. So say for example, let's just go off an example here, is on like, if there was an Uncharted spin-off and it was made into a series, just at some point they could just be referencing how some guy called Nathan Drake had pillaged a pirate ship at some point, and then like, it doesn't have to be necessarily like super on the head like that, but then it's just sort of like showing a little bit of homage to the roots of where this show has come from, and that could work really well. Like, those sorts of things I think is what would make a game into a TV series
based
good,
in the universe sort of thing,
not the story themselves that we've already seen.
Yeah, because then you've instantly got that case of, well, that didn't happen in the game.
Yeah.
That didn't happen in the game. And then
it's like people who read books and then go and watch the movie adaptation, and they come out of it going, well, they missed this, and they missed that, and they missed that, and they missed that.
Exactly. Unless they're going to take a very sort of short game and make a film an accurate film representation of it. But then it's kind of like, well, is there much point in watching the film if you've already played the game, if there's nothing new coming from it? So
I guess that's what the people think about the books when they go and see the films.
Also, the books have got massive more detail. But I think if I could pick one thing for Sony to make into a TV show... So my first thought straight away was like Spyro, and I thought, no, it's going to be that awful Skylanders crap again, and... that Sonic does.
I was going to say
Spyro doesn't need that anymore.
Yeah, it's good. Let's not talk about Sonic. No. That adaptation's not gone well.
I think
so far,
I wouldn't want to see anything live action really because of the drawbacks.
Yeah.
And, although saying that, maybe a Sekiro movie wouldn't be completely awful, or a show.
I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the Sekiro story is so good anyways. I guess that's left a massive opening, and there's not too much dialogue. Like, there's a lot more that they could expand on. But again, like, we can't just follow the same story that we've already followed. I mean, that would have been the Sekiro story would have been cool as a movie if there had been no game. But now that we've had the game, you can't make a movie about that.
Yeah, we'd have to see, like, a different Shinobi. Yeah, potentially.
Like the prior Shinobis, or...
Yeah.
Because obviously he wasn't the only one. So
Yeah, we could see the build up to him becoming what we then send from where the game started off.
yeah.
So this guy just appeared after picking him up on a
But the only issue with that is then you know that at no point in the series is he gonna die. Or maybe he does and gets resurrected.
Oh my god,
Lord! So going off that, I think that Sony have potential, but it is something that I feel like is, if they're not
risky.
careful, it's going to just be a cash grab.
Yeah.
But the stories are so good, they could go somewhere with them.
They got to pick their right content for it and make sure they do it right first time, and then this Sonic crap, and have to then go back and redo it, which we still haven't heard any updates about yet.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple of things about it, and I like the fact that they're saying that they're going to go back and change how Sonic is. I do get the feeling like that is not as easy as him just saying, "Oh, we've heard what you're saying, we're going to change what Sonic looks like." I don't think it's quite as simple as that. That's a lot of work.
What if they made him worse? Like, this is what you wanted a remake.
I thought you were going to say white then. I mean, that would be worse, let's be honest.
It'll be Silver the Hedgehog then.
Oh, no.
They're going to make him absolutely awful. They're going to make it look like Sonic, the meme, and then they were like, you asked for a redo, here you take it.
As long as Ugandan Knuckles appears somewhere in the movie, I'm happy with that.
That meme needs to die.
No, I mean, it's pretty much it's dead now, isn't it?
Stay dead.
So
Keep it down.
Right. So, like Ugandan Knuckles, we'll now move on. And we have some talking, that is the worst
We have some
English.
talking about?
We have some talking, that's the worst English I've ever
We have
had.
some words to say.
Mario Kart Tour. The beta got revealed, it got leaked online, some footage of the game. I mean, wouldn't surprise me if they're going to show it too much before. Do you know anything about this leak?
Nope.
No,
It's Mario Kart.
So Mario Kart Tour is essentially, it's going to be a mobile game, Mario Kart. So the kart will, by the looks of it, I think the kart's always going to be moving forwards. You then guide it left and right, obviously collect the boxes, attack the other players, yada yada. You know how Mario Kart works, surely.
Yeah, I know. That's the basic principle of Mario
I don't
Kart.
think many people don't know how Mario Kart works, so that's fine.
It sounds like temporaneous to the fact that it's constantly moving forward.
I mean, yeah, I guess if you want to put it that way.
Not
It's
so much
more
cases
of
like dodging
it's more of a
things,
race though.
Yeah.
This is Nintendo have like this strange habit of making very weird yet interesting mobile games, and they always seem to be a little bit unique, which I like. But sometimes they just don't seem, they can execute them well, but not grippingly well. So I got Mario Run when that came out. When that first came out, I got it for free because I worked at Apple, and that game, I bought it and I played it for the best part of about 3 or 4 hours, and then I just never found the love to pick it back up again. Really,
bit of a one trick sort of pony.
I mean, it's Mario Kart. It's got replayability. There's shed tons of characters in it. By the sounds of it, pretty much everything that you could think of related to Mario is in it. And they have changed a couple of the rules up and everything, but the worst thing, as usual, you'll expect from this sort of game is there will be microtransactions in it.
That's mobile games, though, as standard, though.
I mean, Nintendo aren't so bad with their microtransactions. They're not really forced. They don't really force them down your throat too much. They don't make it so that, if you want to be able to beat your opponent, you must pay $2.99. They don't normally have those sorts of mechanics. This might be their first time bringing it in, where you get super boosts constantly.
Don't do it.
They won't do it. Which is great, and they're adding some new additions to this. So in all of the Mario Karts, this has never been done. But if you're choosing select characters on certain stages, then they might get a boost, or they might be able to do something a little bit different, or they might get an extra to them, which is quite a nice little touch. It does then start to depend on luck. Obviously, if you then choose your kart and then you're racing against people online, and then it ends up being on a track that you have a disadvantage at and somebody else has an advantage at, then it could either make it really bad, or it could make it more interesting. It depends on how it's done.
As long as they make it a guaranteed win, so that if you're on this map with this car, this character, you can't be beaten.
I'm sure it won't do that, but Like, it depends how well they balance it and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's got a potential for a little bit of fun and a little bit more make it a little bit more interesting. But this is where, like, going off of like what you're saying about the carts and stuff, that's where all the microtransactions are coming in, is like for like cart pieces. I'm not too sure about characters. I'd imagine there's going to be at least some characters that are going to be DLC, because the characters normally, as long as you've got a light, a medium and heavy, it doesn't really matter what other characters, it's all just skins from there on out, so it doesn't make any sort of difference, which is again fine. The only other issue I've got with this, and again this is all going off of like beta footage and whatnot that we've seen, the only other issue I've got with this is if they make it online only. So Mario Run, this is probably one of the reasons why I never picked it up again, is you had to always be online for it. Now I always have connection to the internet anyway, so it doesn't bother me too much. I've got Wi-Fi at home. But for some reason, like, the moment that you do that, whenever I'm in a place where I'm sat around bored and I haven't got anything to do, say, for example, a hospital waiting lounge, where you've got no signal, something like that just immediately just goes, oh, why have I got this on my flipping?
Yeah, well, you've
like those like a couple of moments where you just want to play it because you need to have something to do to entertain yourself. You haven't got it. It's just, it's the most depressing thing in the world, I find.
Yeah, because you've installed the game, everything's there saved on the phone, but it needs connection to the internet so we can update your score every 5 seconds. So just save it to the phone's memory and then update it next time I get a connection.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, like, if they do things like time trials offline or something like that, then I could see that. But like, sort of like, just like having a base game available, then that would be fun. But the problem is, if it's going to be a freemium game, which I don't think they've announced so far. I haven't been able to find out whether they've announced it or not, whether it's going to be a freemium or not. But if it is free, then chances are they're going to always want you connected to the internet, because
so
otherwise,
pump you full of ads.
I'm going to say, because otherwise, how are they going to get the money from you?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's either or. There's not been too much, and as I said, it was all leaked, so you don't know what's true, what's not true. This could, at the end of the day, this is obviously beta footage. This could be beta footage from like a year ago, for all we know. I mean, it probably isn't, but you never know, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's something to consider, something to look forward to if you're a massive Mario Kart fan and you don't feel as though playing Mario Kart on your Switch is enough. You feel like you have to take your phone with you and just play on that instead, or you want to use it in a doctor's lounge.
Take your Switch with you. Come on, people. That's what they're there for.
Exactly. Take this as you will. Enjoy it as you will, if that's your kind of thing. But there's not really too much else.
It'd be nice. The other thing that would be good about that is if you could say, you're out and about with your mates, and you just suddenly sort of challenge each other, a little impromptu little race somewhere.
Well, like local play.
Yeah, local.
No, it won't be for phones. It's got to be internet for phones.
Yeah, internet based. Yeah, obviously in a certain radius, or entering like a friend code or something.
Yeah.
Just so you can have a little.
Sort of like how like the 3DS works. So the 3DS obviously had the thing where it sense if people were around you. I remember I was
Streetwalk or something it was called.
Yeah. So when I was in Tokyo once, I was standing in the queue for the grand opening of the Pokemon store in Tokyo.
So weeb.
I'm such a weeb. I'm such a neck beard. And when I was and when we were like loads of people, it's exactly how you imagine it. Everyone in Japan plays Pokemon. Everyone's got 3DS. It's just ridiculous. And everybody was stood in the queue, and we all like we had our 3DSs out because you're getting these free download codes and whatnot anyway. And just like random people were like, do you want a battle? Do you want a battle? And they're on local, and you're like, all right then, you've twisted me arm.
How about you?
And like that's quite cool, but you can't get that with phones, which sucks. They've always got to be connected to the internet, which is becoming easier and easier for people like us and people in the UK and a lot of people in America. But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be missing out.
I reckon it'll be like the new services on Pokemon Go. Friend codes potentially, local races, or even races online.
But you still need online for them, don't you?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be that sort of game, because it's going to want to update all your best times to every track at every given moment. It's going to want to know your uptime.
As long as I don't have to talk to anybody, I'll be okay with it.
I was definitely have party chat.
No,
For
no.
sure.
I mean, like if it's like QR codes and things like that, I don't want to like be sat somewhere waiting for, let's say, for example, an airport. We've changed it from a hospital to an airport now. If I was sat at an airport and I was like, okay, I'll play my Mario Kart tour, and it's like, oh, somebody is nearby to you that may want to race, and then it's like, oh, well, if I want to race them, I've got to go and find the person and ask them if they've got a QR code that I can scan so I can race them. Because Pokemon Go does that with the battle system, is you have to scan the QR code. So then you have to find out who the person is to go up and say, do you want to battle? Which is always awkward because everyone's already on their phones. So you just go up to 6 or 7 random strangers and say, you want a Pokemon battle? Or you just go up to someone and say, our eyes have locked.
Just get the shit kicked out of you. Just start wailing on you.
Yeah. Exactly. It's one of those things. It's just not. It wouldn't work like that. So hopefully they won't put it into that. When you think about it, why has Niantic put that into Pokemon Go? Because it just doesn't work.
Yeah, they could just do like a local sort of in the 100 meter radius search. Anyone who sort of set themselves to like looking for local matches. I mean, you got to be some sad bastard to go out into a busy area and sit there like, I want to race someone. I'm just going to sit here until someone comes along and challenges me.
I mean, you could always hold up a sign saying, I'm here.
Oh, no.
But race me if you dare. Good luck getting that sign posted through customs there at an airport.
Because only people in airports like to race.
Yeah. I mean, what else have you got to do while you're waiting for your flight?
Get food.
You fat bastard. Right,
well, the duty free.
With the duty frees. And talking of duty free and things being illegal and things not going right and purchases being really frustrating and annoying, what else have you got to talk about, Luke?
Epic Game Store have added again.
Epic Game Store.
They're literally like the recurring topic. Like every week, they're like, the new Charge Attack podcast is coming out soon. I better do something stupid so I'll get their attention.
They're focused directly on us, and they're just sort of like,
thanks for the content.
Those people, I know.
Those two little Brits, they love it.
Those two little Brits.
So,
take us through it.
Tell
us what it is. Tell us the life. The lesson of the game store.
This is how not to run your game store, people. So a few customers have reported basically running into an unusual, what they've described as a roadblock, as termed in one of the articles that I read. Basically, as the Epic Game Store doesn't have a shopping cart online, so you can basically put everything in, then make one purchase for loads of things, like we do on pretty much every shopping site ever these days. Epic Game Store don't do that. Every purchase is an individual transaction. You've got to enter your card details for every single one.
What? So you can't
add everything to one.
So you can't even save your card details.
You may be able to save your card details, but you then obviously go in, select the card, whatnot each time.
So
purchase. You can't just go.
So what they're doing there is they're trying to stop you from spending your money.
Well, that would actually make sense. This article, because they will actually block your account if you make too many purchases too quickly.
They really don't want you spending your money.
No, and it's not even like when you hit a certain price limit. It's purely believed on the amount of transactions that you do. So you could buy, say, 10 $1 games or whatever, £1 games, and they'll block your account because of their heightened anti-fraud checks and things.
Why don't they just add a basket button then?
Why don't they just have different security checks?
Well, they're just barking mad again. Like we talk about this every flipping week, and it's Epic Game Store know that they're under scrutiny at the moment. They know that they're under harsh watch. They know that people are looking out for every single reason to give them a tiny bit of hate. And I personally don't have an issue with them. I understand the fact that this is a new store. It's only been out a few months. People are still getting used to it. The creators are still getting used to it. They're trying to make it better. I understand every single little issue that you can have with it. However, you need to be better than that. If you're pumping multi-millions into it and you don't have a basket button, Asda has a basket button.
Exactly.
I know that they're actually probably one of the wealthiest companies in the world, but they're scummy.
It's not like it's a hard thing to do, really. I mean, there's smaller production companies out there that have the facility to do this without literally blocking their customers' accounts. And then they have to get in contact with the support team to look at getting it lifted. It's not like even like, wait an hour, then make your purchase.
You can see why people don't want to blimmin' support Epic Game Store.
Yeah, I said people are undetermined if it's like when you hit a certain amount that you spend that it stops it, or if it's so many purchases within a certain time scale or how many. They don't know the exact sort of what is the trigger point that stops it. But when things go on sale, and they said themselves in our last podcast, and we said it, they put a massive sale out for all these games. So of course, everyone's going to be going in now and potentially buying a shit ton of games while everything's on sale, and then they're blocking everyone from doing so.
I do find it weird that it's taken this long for this issue to come out. I mean, what sort of sick person buys like 6 or 7 games? Actually, no, I've done that. Never mind.
If it's on sale, you're going to make the most, even if you don't really want the game. But if it's going cheap,
that's
you might play
Steam talk. That is real Steam talk.
It's
you don't want the game, but you're gonna buy it because, oh my god, it's 50p. I've got to.
Imagine like you're on the way to game and you see like all these adverts in the windows of these amazing offers and sales. You literally walk through the door and they slam it in your face, and you're like,
they punch you in the nuts and kick you out. And they're like, hey, no, cut your shit. Here's your one game.
Exactly.
Or ignore the rest.
You can just buy the box. You can't have the actual disc till later because it's potentially fraud. I appreciate, obviously, companies have to have certain fraud checks and things like that because of obviously handling payment details and things like that. But why is that their fraud prevention? There could be so many other ways. Banks have so many ways of checking on your purchases and things like that. That why do you have to suspend the account to do so?
Because they're idiots, I'm going to go with.
It's like, is there nothing else they could have done that could have...
Just
like, even if it's like, oh, we'll text you a verification pin or something, or email you something.
Yeah, just confirm this is you.
Exactly. Anything like that.
I mean, if you have somebody's account and you have their card details, I get the feeling they'll probably have your email. But then again, that's a background check for most other things, so... I mean, all the power to them. I don't know. You can't explain it. There's just I can understand most of their moves and why they're making them, but then they just do something stupid like this, and it's the sort of backlash that they don't want. Since when it was first released, the Epic Game Store, and they had all of these issues, that everybody was outraged. They don't like that they're getting this. They don't like that they're getting that. Like, if that was just the only issue that Epic Game Store had when it first got released, I reckon by now people would start to be like, Epic Game Store's alright.
That sale could have really redeemed them.
Yeah, it's constantly updates of, now this is fucked up. What else can you... you're just making your company look
You're just waiting for something to happen with it. Instead of like, alright, they have a bit of backlash from Borderlands, they should just put their sale out, kept their heads down for a bit, did some good stuff, lovely stuff. Everyone would have forgotten about it.
Yeah.
But they keep doing stupid little things that just keeps bringing everyone back to, they did this, now they've done that, now they've done this, and they're just sort of burying themselves under this.
So what we're trying to say is, Epic Game Store, sort your shit out.
Yeah.
Essentially. But
take 5 and get back to us.
On a more positive news, is there is a new handheld console that is going to be coming out relatively soon, within the next probably year and a half, so next year pretty much, released by indie developer Panic. It is called Playdate. I'm sure if you're listening to this, then you probably would have heard of it yourself. It's a new handheld console. Handheld, yeah, you do call them consoles. Handheld console.
Yep.
That has a crank on it, like a little arm on the side that you crank.
Like a one-arm bandit.
Yep, exactly. If there's not a Fruit Machine game on there, then it's absolutely
that'd be pre-installed
pointless.
with it. Yeah, when you pre-order or some bollocks.
There's so it's quite interesting. So like hearing about this, and it's gained quite a bit of traction, mainly because of this crank arm. Makes it a little bit more individual. I mean, handheld has always been dominated by Nintendo, really. And now, obviously, they've got the Switch, then they're sort of slowing a lot down on the 3DS. The Switch is still a handheld console at the end of the day. So this is obviously sort of, I guess it is a rival to that. Why would you want to pick this up? And when I give you the statistics, you can figure it out for yourself. So it only plays in black and white. Very small screen, quite pixelated. There's going to be 12 games released with it when you first buy it, and those games are going to be released over 12 weeks. And it costs $149. So for the English, 120 quid. Or if we're going to be really pessimistic, by that point, it'll probably be 150 quid.
Yeah.
Brexit and all of that. But
Looking at this, the crank it's cool, but is it enough?
that is like an indie. This is like a proper indie approach. It's just sort of like, we're going to do a handheld console and it's going to be different and it's going to be funky and it's going to be fun. You have achieved that with the crank. That is great. I love that aspect. However, if you're going to charge me 149 fucking quid for it, that's just ridiculous.
I want a better screen for that.
You could pick up a second-hand Xbox. In fact, you could probably pick up a first-hand Xbox One for that sort of price. Don't get me wrong, you can't take that with you.
But in what it can do in comparison, yeah.
It's just
And
barking mad.
let's be honest, it is ugly, this
Oh
thing.
yeah, I was going to say.
It's black and yellow.
I'm sure that will come in different colours, but like,
What
even with
they've
like the
announced
crank, like, there's a couple of games that are going to like use the crank. The crank is essentially like a controller part, where like it'll be interactable. You can use it in the games.
It sounds like Digital Bop It.
Yeah, like how much can you do with a crank? It is definitely going to be one of those things where by the sounds of it, you're going to play with it for probably the best part of like an hour, and you'll be like, oh, this is cool, and then you'll put it down and you'll go back to Mario Kart Tour on your mobile phone.
Yeah.
Or if you have a Switch, any Switch game, because most of them are going to be better than both of those titles.
Exactly.
I love that ingenuity. I love how they've gone for something different, something fresh, something fun. I think that's amazing, and I think so positively of them for it. However, if you're going to charge $149 for the first handheld console that you brought out, that's more than a flipping Nintendo 3DS.
We need
more than
what...
And 12 games. 12 games released periodically as well. Don't get me wrong, it's one a week. That's supposed to keep you playing it for longer, so that you go, all right, okay, well, I'd better download my next game this week. 5 minutes into it, there we go. I've played it now. Put it back down.
And is it going to get people to come back if these games aren't good?
These games have to be incredible to justify that price, and I can't see them. The black and white screen is such a strange step. Like, don't get me wrong, it's quite cool and it's quite niche. It's quite different. It's just so weird. There's no other way to really describe it. I have no idea what word to even use because it's that weird. And I like that they're going for something different, but that's when you talk about it, that's not adding value. If you say, "Oh, this got a black and white screen," someone hears that, they'll go, "Well, why would you want a black and white screen?"
We had those back in like the 1960s, and we went to colour.
It's so strange.
And on this, I'm assuming it's sort of quite pixel based. Don't think we're on the realm of sort of like 8-bit, but
no.
I mean, how many these games are going to be limited to
their capabilities? I would say,
it's
yes.
either going to be sort of very like story, sort of almost like text based games for some parts.
So like the screen pixels is 400 by 240. So to put that into perspective, it's basically. We're just going to call it like a third of a HD TV. So that's proper. That's squinty.
I'm getting like imagine like the original Mario on like the Game Boy Color.
Yeah,
we're going to get little side sort of like little jumpy platformers.
So there's only so much a gimmick can take a console or take a handheld console. There's only so much a gimmick can take anything in life. It's like with blimmin' the Stadia on Google. I ain't buying that console because it's got this gimmick that I can play anywhere, and I ain't buying this just because it's got a gimmick of the fact that I can pull a lever on the side of the console and look cool. I bet you hipsters will buy it.
Oh yeah, people who
I'll tell you what.
Edgy.
I'll go to what I'll do next year is I will go to a festival. Lots of hippies. Lots of people smoking weed. I bet you'll see these all about the place. Hundreds of them. Hundreds of them. And they'll be there like, oh, you're playing the new Playdate? Boy.
It's a bit of a weird name for a console. That is not sitting well with me.
You just think it sounds creepy.
Playdate. Yeah, it's like, it instantly thinks of like kids playing together.
Are they aiming this at kids? They haven't shown too much of the games and whatnot yet. But are they aiming this at kids? Because if they are aiming it at kids, it's too much.
Yeah, that kid's going to smash the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Like they do everything else.
But so, I mean, there is too much going on here. If Nintendo were releasing this, you could expect them to be doing something good with it. But because it's an indie company, I don't have the trust of them enough to know that I would buy into this and know that I'd be getting my money's worth.
I want to do well for them, but
Yeah.
you
want to support every indie company and if they bring this out and it ends up being the next revolution of gaming and it becomes incredible and every single gaming console and controller has to have a crank on it, then that's amazing. I'm glad that they would do it and they would bring this out to us. But what you're showing me so far and what you're telling me is to run away.
Crank away.
Just hide somewhere. Hide with your Switch in a cupboard where you can enjoy yourself and not have to worry about cranking.
Getting cranked.
Yeah, getting cranked. So, sort it out.
Yeah, I definitely won't be running out to buy this one.
Yeah. So, if you like playing video games, get yourself an Xbox or a PlayStation or a Switch, because that will be enjoyable. I mean, if this is coming out next year and it's late next year, you might have the PlayStation 5 then. Put the money towards a PlayStation 5.
You're going to need to save.
That is our tip of the day. What have you got? What else have you got to talk about?
A little bit more about Rage 2.
Our favourite.
Yes. As we have said last week, and when it was officially announced, the Rage 2 meh. It is just...
The Rage 2 meh that it is.
It is just...
But it sales did okay.
It has beat Days Gone off the top spot.
Good.
In its launch week in the UK, but it's still not looking promising. When they release the figures in terms of sales against the first one, it is 75% down.
Which is weird considering it's supposed to be better than the first one.
Exactly.
This is so... I mean, we talked about this before. Bethesda have done some weird things recently, and we weren't... Well... No, I can say we didn't like the look of Rage 2. Thought it looked a little bit boring, a little bit bland. There wasn't anything there that was pulling us in and exciting us.
Nothing new.
When the game got released, it was above average scores, 7s, 7.5s to 8s maybe, which is great. They've done sort of well. But no one was expecting Rage 2, especially considering Rage 1 didn't do so well. So if Rage 1 didn't do so well, and it still sold more copies than Rage 2, I get the feeling people just don't like Bethesda at the moment.
It's a big indication that either people bought the first one thinking it was going to be really good, and so a lot of people bought it, and then everyone thought, oh, Rage 2's coming out, well, I'm definitely not buying that one. And only the hardcore fans have gone back to it, and with the massive. I mean,
I'm sure there's a load of new people that must have come onto it, because I think they advertise this one a lot better than I remember the Rage 1 being advertised.
Oh, if you went on Xbox and that's Twitter page or something over the last weeks of build up, it's every other post is Rage 2.
It's just Rage 2. So that's probably boosted that's probably where all of its sales have come from. Yeah. Anyone that's been playing Fallout, anybody that bought Fallout 76. And was so disappointed with it, now would not touch this and won't touch anything Bethesda until something interesting happens.
Definitely
E3 in a couple of weeks.
We're definitely seeing a massive sort of drop from what Bethesda have done in the past with their recent games, and just the game itself has really not helped with this one. So I don't think it'll stay on top for very long.
Well, I mean, the problem is the month it was competing with is Days Gone was second, just behind it. I mean, we weren't even big fans personally of Days Gone.
No, I know people who traded that game in already. They just it isn't what they thought it was going to be. Yeah,
which is, I mean, I'm disappointed about Days Gone more than I am about Rage, because Rage 2 I wasn't really too bothered or interested about. I had higher hopes for Days Gone. So I guess in a certain sense they're winning in the sense that it sold the most copies, but by the looks of it I don't think, if they've sold the most copies and it's still not doing as well as the first Rage 1, then realistically, by the sounds of it, nobody wants to spend their money at the moment. They're all holding out for E3. Find out what happens at E3. I mean, E3 is only less than 20 days away now. It's exciting. So that's what everyone's going to be focusing on.
I can't see there being a Rage 3 after this, though.
Depends how the rest of their sales go. I mean, by the looks of it, if they've pumped that much more effort, time, money, obviously, into getting this advertised and made, and it's done worse than the first one, then ouch, it's not looking good.
Yeah, I can't see people going for a third if the second one has just been a flop in comparison. All right, they might have done well with the initial sales, but I can't see them holding that for very long. And then it just again it fades into obscurity, and it's just.
And we'll just take it from. I mean, basically, just hope Bethesda learn their lesson, stop releasing shit.
Yeah, back to
take Fallout 76 away, take this away.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, E3 they're going to show more of Elder Scrolls 6. So, and that's going to be their saving grace, or their death. Because if they put microtransactions in that, not going to go.
It could be the final nail
in the Bethesda coffin.
Very nailed coffin right now. Just before we cover it in concrete and dump in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. So if you're looking forward to Borderlands 3, then keep looking forward to that, because Rage 2 didn't really do much to it.
As again we called.
Yeah.
Wrong time.
And that's it for the main bits of news. Again, it wasn't too big of a week. I mean, Nioh, that was quite cool.
That was good.
That's the coolest thing that's come out this week. But we'll just go on to the quick wind down. I've only got a couple of things to talk about. Just Cause is having a movie. So we're talking about Sony doing movies and whatnot and getting series adaptations of their games. Just Cause is having this treatment.
This makes sense in a way. Of all the games they could do it with, this one does make sense to do with.
See, why does it make sense to you?
Because these games are so open world,
right?
That you could, and they've got so much in them that you could still make a pretty decent movie out of it, and not detract from the story, because it's sort of quite open world. You can do whatever you want really for a long period of time.
Yeah.
It's not sort of so story driven that you're gonna be like, that never happened in it. That never happened in it.
Oh, I see your I see your perspective on that now.
Yeah.
See, I was gonna say I completely disagree with you. I think this is really gonna be a really bad adaptation, because
they could do it badly, but of all the games, this could be the easiest to do it within.
See, story wise, I'll definitely agree with you. The rest of the movie wise is gonna be terrible, because the whole point for me, I think it's gonna be terrible in the sense that Just Cause is all about riding rockets, attaching flamethrowers and stuff to sheep, firing stuff off into the distance and explosions everywhere. How are you going to adapt that into a movie unless it is just a straight-up comedy movie? That's going to be such a struggle. But this is being written by the guy who wrote John Wick. I've never seen the John Wicks, and I'm probably going to get cursed for that. They're supposed to be amazing films, and we've just... 3 just been released, haven't we?
And he's in Fortnite or something, wasn't he?
We don't talk Fortnite on this channel.
I'm thinking, in obviously the Just Cause game, you could stick rockets to cows and things and send them off flying.
Yeah.
Funny. But would that be funny in a film?
It depends how tasteful it is.
It depends on sort of how realistic it is, I suppose, as well.
If it was just the sort of thing, just sort of like where... some guy, he's tied somebody to a chair, and he's just go on, kill me, you asshole. And he's like, I'm not gonna kill you. Opens a door, and there's just rocket launchers attached to the side of a goat or something, just gets fired in and kills a guy. That could be quite funny.
Yeah.
But it depends on how, the direction that they're gonna go, because realistically, the game is narrated seriously, but is comical to play.
What you can do in it can be funny.
Yeah, exactly. So they've got to try and this is where I get confused and get sort of concerned with it, because if they try and do that, that's going to be a real struggle to do.
They could flop hard and make it really cringy,
insanely hard. But the other problem that I had with it is, why does this need to be based on Just Cause? It's
easy. It's just a guy taking down sort of corrupt...
Yeah, but then why do you need to call it... You're just calling it Just Cause because you are... right, okay. Every gamer that's played Just Cause, they've had 4 Just Cause games. They've done quite well. I mean, they're not incredible super games. They're great fun and endless hours of entertainment of, like we're saying, rocket launchers and grappling sheep and stuff. But why, if you're making this action comedy movie... Why Just Cause? Because like we were saying, like the story isn't too hefty in there.
Not very linear, is it?
You haven't got a massive story to follow off of, and nobody plays. Well, not many people play Just Cause for the story and go, oh, that story, emotional, roller coaster up and down. Most people play Just Cause because it's what you'd call a video game. It's stupid and
grappling
fun.
cars together.
You're making this new movie, basing it off Just Cause.
But you could put the good bits in it.
For what reason? Why didn't you just make a new film and just call it Rico? And then it's just a guy going around blowing up sheep. I mean, do you remember? Have you ever seen like the Naked Gun films?
I love the Naked Gun.
Airplane. Like we haven't had that sort of style film in quite a while.
Like the OG scary movies.
Yeah, like real just stupid
Slapstick
shit
comedy.
If you want to make that sort of film and make it a little bit more actiony, do it. Don't just say, "Oh, this is a Just Cause film," just for the sake of it. I mean, I could all be wrong here. I probably won't be. This will probably be shit. I don't care. Like John Wick is supposed to be an unbelievably incredible movie, so there is a morsel of hope for it. But the idea that they've already started off by saying, "Oh yeah, it's a Just Cause film," immediately it confuses me. There is so many proper story-driven titles. So something like Undertale. Now I've never played Undertale, but I have heard lots of people say that game's story is incredible, like the characters are so in-depth and whatnot. That would be something that would be really cool to be made into like an anime movie, I would say.
Yes.
And that would be really cool. Why not do that? Why Just Cause? Where like, I played Just Cause 2, I put best part of about 150 hours into that. I don't remember anything other than at the end you're grappling between rockets while they're flying through the air.
It's because it's easy. It's explosions that people have got literally in bulk that you can buy. It's cars chasing each other. It's an easy film to make. The potential a lot of people may be quite interested in. So, and that's the only reason that they don't have to follow necessarily a specific story. They could easily add in a new villain that you wouldn't really see in the games to make it a bit different. But
maybe this would be good as an anime, because then they could just be ridiculous with it.
Potentially,
like a tasteful anime, not none of this Japanesey.
Or it gets
like a Western anime
where it gets very cartoony and
just ridiculous.
Yeah,
that would work well. Finally, the only other thing I've got to talk about, don't know about you, Luke, but Ouya or Ouya.
No.
So I don't know what the console. I can't remember how to pronounce it properly. It's Ouya, the console that Razer bought out. It was a home console, basically sort of ran Steam games, had its own sort of servers and everything like that. Hasn't been doing so well. I mean, it got discontinued in 2015, I believe it was. That's how badly it was doing.
I've not even heard of this in ages.
Yeah, exactly. This is one of those things that, like, this is why we put it down at the bottom of the list as the wind down, is because if you are listening, chances are you probably don't know about this, or if you do know about this, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot that existed, sort of thing. Basically, its servers are being shut off, which, when its servers get shut off, it means that no buying games online on it and downloading them and whatnot and yada 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 yada. If you already do have a game and it is downloaded and it's an offline, well, almost died there, and it is an offline game, you should be able to still play it the same. They're not 100% sure, but chances are you still will be able to. But obviously all online capabilities will now be shut off, and sort of like if the game requires online to play, then chances are you won't be able to play it that way either. So
just reminds me of when they shut down the Demon Souls server.
No, this is on a much grander scale, in the sense that if you are we're going to call it Ouya, console owner, aren't you going to be a little bit pissy if this is the case? I mean, chances are if you're that much of a gamer, you probably wouldn't have one. But it seems like a bit of a... If you put your money into it and you've bought these games online and then they're just saying, oh no, it's being shut down. By the way, it's being shut down on the 25th of June. I probably should have made that perfectly clear.
I feel like other servers have stayed up longer for things that weren't really doing well. Like, it was only in the last couple of years that the Halo 2 servers went off, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, with that
quite
game,
a few years, but it was quite a longer life cycle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm sure it's longer than this console.
Oh yeah,
and that's just one games server.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft have a lot more money though.
Yeah,
I guess. Money makes the world go round, doesn't it?
Yep.
So if you are an Ouya console owner, throw it out the window because it's pointless now, worthless.
Again, trade it in for a PlayStation 5.
Either that, or you could trade it in, keep it as a relic.
$9.99.
Keep it as a relic. Pass it down to your future grandkids. Potentially.
Well, they can't.
If you play video games, you're not having sex anyway, are you? But what you could do is you could pass it down to relatives or your sister or brother's kids. Yeah, a family heirloom. In 100 years' time, they'll be like, "Oh, I've got an Ouya," and they'll be like, "What the hell is an Ouya?" Sort of thing. Let me show you the power of my people. It's not just don't. It's not there. It's not worth it. You could trade it in, and then you'll have enough money to get yourself a play date with a crank. And then that'll probably get shut down after a year.
No one's holding out hope for these ones, are they?
Stick to your main consoles. These seem to be working sort of well. Obviously, we were talking about last week where Xbox and PlayStation were working together to create better software and firmware. When you've got like these two massive companies, like don't get me wrong, I will always support the smaller companies. But the smaller companies have to offer something that the bigger companies are not offering for me to want to go to them. And if you're offering me a crank and a server that shuts down 4 years after it stopped being sold, then I'm not exactly confident in you, am I?
No. As much as you want to take that risk on you, it is too much of a risk.
Give us a reason to trust you.
Yeah, give us offline stuff that we can just play and keep.
Give us Playdate, but not a ridiculous $149 price tag.
Give me a better screen. We deserve
better. Yeah. And that's it pretty much from me. What about you?
That is it for me.
No. It was a pretty slow week.
Yeah, lots of developers doing stuff, but
yeah, I was gonna say everything's all at the moment is a little bit quiet because we've got
we're in the lull, aren't we?
Coming up.
Yeah, no one's announcing things at the moment because they're waiting to get their big bombshells ready.
I think what we'll do for E3 is I think we should do, or what we will do is we should
do a reaction video.
No, we won't do a reaction. Nobody wants to watch
live reaction.
Horrible. I mean, more people would probably like that than like our lives. But what we'll probably do is we'll probably do a talk each day after all of the events, and we'll sum up what's happened. Because there'll be so much to talk about, we won't be able to fit it into 1 week's podcast. So what we'll do is we'll do additional podcasts for each day. It's normally over 4 days, so we'll do 4 extra podcasts, and then we'll do the 5th podcast at the end of the week as well.
Oh my lord!
Is that hard to follow? If it is, just rewind a little bit and press pause, or just slow it down. You'll know what I mean.
Just
basically, we'll be releasing more when it comes closer to E3. Other than that, you have a lovely week.
We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. See you later. Bye.